It was a year of fire and ice.
A year of love trumping hate.
You call it terrorism, I call it patriotism.
Over there! Come on!
A year of chaos in the streets. And a calm celestial show, millions of years in the making.
Here it is, our look back at the year that was.
Yeah, even when my kids were younger, this is the most snow I've seen in a while.
The winter weather that crippled the metro area just before the holidays returned with a vengeance in early January.
I wish I had just left it in the parking lot and taken them and figured out a way home.
A swift-moving storm, more than a foot of snow, shattering records and bringing our world to a standstill. And just as the snow and ice on the streets started to thaw,
People's movement and the tug.
Peaceful protests over Donald Trump's inauguration turned into clashes with Portland police when the sun went down. Hundreds of masked protesters hit the streets, lighting fires, tipping trash cans, and attempting to block bridges.
Okay, there's some kind of a pepper spray now. They're dispersing this crowd.
a much different scene on those same streets the following morning as an estimated 100,000 people came out to take part in the National Women's March.
It was amazing. It was incredible to be around so many people that care.
It's really uplifting. It was really moving. I feel like it was just the balm that we need at this painful time.
While the message was the same, the tactics and the results were far different.
Absolutely peaceful and powerful. I think that's what was amazing about being a part of it. There was no feeling of violence or rage. It was just camaraderie.
No!
The first week of February brought with it another round of winter weather. And while ice, snow, floods, and landslides dominated our headlines, it was a little baby from Iran that focused the national spotlight on the Rose City. President Trump's travel ban prevented baby Fatima from coming to the United States to receive the heart surgery needed to save her life. That was until the court stepped in.
This child coming to Dornbecker, we believe, is a good thing. We believe that every child we get to take care of is one in the positive column.
The surgery was a success and baby Fatima survived.
It brought some tears to my eyes because Packy's been part of the Northwest for a long time.
We saw a sad day in the middle of the month as the Oregon Zoo said goodbye to one of its longest living residents when Packy passed away at the age of 54.
March roared in like a lion.
Landslide, landslide, landslide.
Heavy rain combined with all that melting snow, and a hill came crashing down on a busy road during the morning rush hour.
We knew that we couldn't cross, and we kind of went through like a steep snow kind of cliff to get down there, and we knew we couldn't go back.
The same day, a hike to Multnomah Falls turned into a spring break 12 college kids will never forget when they got stranded and needed to be rescued. A tornado touched down in Vancouver.
But by the end of the month, everyone was talking about some dancing ducks.
Into the Final Four.
For the first time since they won the first national championship game way back in 1939, the Oregon Ducks advanced to the NCAA Final Four. The run to a second national title was stopped in a heartbreaking one-point loss to North Carolina. Back in our area, the snow and rain of winter gave way to wicked winds that whipped from the coast all the way through the metro area, leaving a good amount of damage in its wake.
It was pretty devastating to see something that destructive at your home.
Gusts in excess of 50 miles per hour hit the metro area, knocking trees down and knocking out power.
Then our attention turned to a brutal attack on a man at a restaurant.
The elderly man didn't deserve what happened to him.
Police say Brian Swanger walked into the Denny's in Happy Valley, doused 69-year-old Scott Ranstrom with gasoline, and set him on fire. Amazingly, Ranstrom survived and credits a Good Samaritan for saving his life.
You're on fire. You can't do nothing. If that guy hadn't jumped over that table and put his coat on me, I wouldn't be here.
The end of April brought one of the biggest traffic jams we've ever seen as thousands of gamblers made their way north to La Center to check out the brand new A Casino.
The last full month of spring brought a similar scene to the streets of Portland as annual May Day marches erupted into violent clashes between protesters and Portland police.
And 2 weeks later, our attention turned to one of the strangest crimes any of us have ever covered.
If you saw a human head, you saw a human head.
A 35-year-old Joshua Webb allegedly killed his own mother and carried her head into an Oregon City grocery store.
But it was a more random attack that shocked us all and brought the national spotlight to Portland that wrapped up the month.
This is a hate crime. This is a terrorist act.
On a sunny Friday afternoon of Memorial Day weekend, a man verbally attacked 2 young Muslim girls riding the MAX train. When 3 men tried to step in, he stabbed 2 of them to death and gravely injured the 3rd.
I'm Talishan's mother, and his heart was big as the world.
In the coming days, memorials would grow for the 2 heroes killed, 53-year-old Ricky Best and 23-year-old Talisan Namke-Meche, and the surviving hero, 21-year-old Micah Fletcher, who was badly wounded.
And I appreciate them, because without them, we probably would be dead right now.
Slowly, the attention turned to accused attacker, white supremacist Jeremy Christian. He was arrested and is still awaiting trial.
June started with more protests on the streets as hundreds of protesters, supporters and opponents of President Trump clashed with each other and with police.
In the middle of the month, an era came to an end in Portland. After almost 50 years and 277 large boats built, Zidell Yards launched their last barge into the Willamette River to make room for new housing development along the south waterfront. The first weeks of July brought the first sign of things to come as the first plumes of wildfire smoke appeared on the horizon. By the end of the month, the Anna, Dry Creek, and Devil's Rest fires would be burning, and what would eventually be a record-setting fire season was off to a scary start.
July ended with a crippling heat wave as temperatures rose near and into the triple digits for several straight days.
As the heat showed no signs of letting up and the days of summer wore on.
Yes, I am real, and this is me up close and personal.
Portland welcomed a new police chief as veteran Oakland, California cop Danielle Outlaw was hired to replace outgoing chief Mike Marshman.
6 new fires, including the massive Chetco Bar fire near Brookings, and the Whitewater fire in the Mount Jefferson Wilderness started in August and blackened tens of thousands of acres by the time the month was over.
But it was the great gig in the sky that August of 2017 will always be remembered for.
Hopefully we'll get there before 9:06 tomorrow.
After years of planning, months of anticipation, and days of traveling, an estimated 1 million people jammed into Oregon to catch a glimpse of the first total eclipse of the sun to be visible in the United States in almost 40 years.
You don't appreciate what you're going to see until you actually see it.
You saw the corona, which you wouldn't see before.
I was happy, excited. I almost wanted to cry. All the entire spectrum of emotions.
When the sun came back out and all the visitors went home, fire season roared back to life.
The 1st of September brought a new face to the forefront of the Oregon Ducks as Willie Taggart coached his first game in Eugene. The Ducks rolled past Southern Utah on the way to a 4-1 start to the season. Oregon finished the regular season 7-5, and Taggart bolted to become the new head coach at Florida State.
The same day the Ducks beat Southern Utah, something went terribly wrong in the gorge.
We turned the corner and you can see the smoke and the heat just kind of hit you like a wall. It was like, whoa. It was big.
Teenagers playing with fireworks started a fire along the Eagle Creek Trail that quickly exploded.
They came through about 1 o'clock and told us we had to go.
Fueled by the heat and wind, the Eagle Creek fire raged for days. It forced hundreds of evacuations, threatened the historic Multnomah Falls Lodge, and it closed Highway 84 for more than 2 weeks. It wasn't until late November that the fire was finally contained.
And before we said so long to September, we said goodbye to a popular polar bear. Nora left the Oregon Zoo for a new home in Utah.
The first full month of fall brought a lot of sports to the forefront and a big change at the top for the Oregon State Beavers. Following a 38-10 loss to USC, Gary Anderson resigned as head coach. He was replaced a month later by former Beavers quarterback Jonathan Smith.
Had to be really
really intense.
A tornado touched down in Clackamas, flipping planes, toppling power lines, and damaging buildings. Thankfully, no one was injured.
Then the Portland Thorns won their second NWSL championship with a 1-0 win over North Carolina.
Sebastian Blanco into Vitas, great ball. Marinovich didn't get it, Maddox puts it in!
Just a few days later, the Timbers beat Vancouver to win the Western Conference and the Cascadia Cup, only to see their season come to an end in the Western Conference semifinals 3 weeks later with a loss to Houston. And head coach Caleb Porter announced he was leaving the team. He was replaced several weeks later by Giovanni Severese.
October wrapped up with a bombshell in Salem as the sexual harassment scandals that had been dominating national headlines for weeks came to the state house as more than a dozen women accused Senator Jeff Cruz of inappropriate behavior.
Taking anything from someone's wrong, but $1 million, no matter which way you cut it, is a lot of money to anyone.
A record-sized marijuana heist was big news to start November as thieves made off with roughly $1 million worth of processed product and hash oil.
To celebrate his 80th birthday, Phil Knight and Nike invited more than a dozen premier college basketball programs to town for a Thanksgiving weekend tournament. The inaugural PK80 was played at both the Moda Center and Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Duke and Michigan State took home the top prizes.
December started with a new head duck.
I don't think that the entire country understands the standard that has been set.
Oregon offensive coordinator Mario Cristobal was promoted to replace Willie Taggart as the head football coach.
And then the earth moved.
It was rumbling and then kind of sounded a bit like an explosion.
A 4.0 quake hit the Scotts Mills area in the exact same spot to the 1993 spring break quake. This time, there were no injuries and no reports of serious damage.
Amtrak 501. Emergency. We are on the ground.
It was a much different story a few days later as the inaugural run on a new, faster Amtrak route went terribly wrong.
We were lucky to be getting out of here alive. Then I decided, well, we're just fortunate, not lucky. I don't know if luck had anything to do with it.
A Portland-bound train that investigators say was traveling 50 miles an hour over the posted speed limit left the tracks near DuPont, Washington. 3 people were killed, dozens more were injured. The exact cause remains under investigation.
So that's how it went in 2017, and Coin6 was right there for all of it.
We wish you a happy new year, and we join you in looking forward to 2018.